Hi, I'm Shri. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we'll do a performance review of my first 6 months of fitness progress for the year 2023. This also goes over the mistakes I made that could have been prevented for getting better results. In this video, I'll do a deep dive into my DEXA scan and go over how my body changed in response to training, sleep, and nutrition. You can find out if I gained muscle mass or lost fat or lost muscle mass or gained fat. Stay tuned to find out. Before we begin, if you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing for more similar videos such as this one. Alright, let's get into it. In software engineering, we have something called as retrospective meeting, where we go over what we accomplished in the past 2 weeks and how it could have gone better and how we can improve. I find that applying same principles to fitness can also be pretty useful. If you did not retrospect at regular intervals, how would you know if you're moving closer to your goal or away from the goal or at standstill? If you can't measure it, you won't be able to manage it. Speaking of goals, my overarching goal is to build muscle mass and lose fat and maintain a decent amount of cardio capacity over a long-term horizon of 15 to 20 years. But the most important thing for me is working towards this goal with as less as a mental stress as possible. So it is sustainable to do this over a long period of time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. If I take on too much stress to achieve this goal, personally, it is not worth as much to me. Alright, let's get into it. I'll be breaking down my progress into 4 categories: strength training, cardio, diet, and sleep. For strength training, I have been following Ryan Fischer's PowerBuilding program. If you don't know who Ryan Fischer is, he used to previously do CrossFit and now he's a fitness influencer who helps other people get fit. I highly recommend checking out his Instagram page for tips related to fitness and training. Coming back to PowerBuilding program, this is a combination of powerlifting and bodybuilding. It has my usual favorites: bench press, back squat, deadlifts, and it also has some fun bodybuilding pieces. It usually takes me around an hour and 15 minutes to complete, and I do it about 4 to 5 times a week. Next comes cardio. For cardio, I have been using Peloton for Zone 2 training. Zone 2 training is all the buzz now. It is basically training at a pretty low intensity so that you can build your aerobic base. If you have never heard about Zone 2 training, check out Dr. Peter Attia's podcast on Zone 2 training. For longevity purposes, Peter Attia recommends 3 doses of 1 hour of Zone 2 training per week or 4 doses of 45 minutes of Zone 2 training per week. I managed to squeeze in 1 to 2 sessions of Zone 2 training of 45-minute interval each. I also have a black lab and I take him out about 3 times a day, and that gives me about 1 to 2 miles of walking per day. The next component is diet. When it comes to diet or nutrition, I have been counting macros for years now. But for the last 6 months, I decided to take it a little bit easy because I had developed diet fatigue. I didn't want to count too strictly. This time I got a tip from Ryan Fischer. He calls it the meat and fruit diet. I did not follow it strictly, but I was consistent about 80% of the time. This involved eating about 2 pounds of 93.7 lean ground beef every day. I also drank good amount of milk with honey. This was not the part of Ryan's advice, but I just like milk and honey. In hindsight, this turned out to be a low stress and good massing diet. I think I was roughly consuming about 2000 calories per day, and some days it's probably more than 2000. I should also mention that at this point I have completely eliminated weed and alcohol from my diet. It's probably close to about a year and a half now. I'll make another video which discusses about how it has affected my productivity and diet and energy and why I decided to do it. The next component is sleep. I have been consistently getting about 7.5 hours of sleep for the last 6 months. When I was doing CrossFit, I was barely getting about 5.5 hours of sleep. If I had to guess, I think that's probably because I had exceeded my maximum recoverable volume and that was affecting my sleep. After stopping CrossFit and starting PowerBuilding, it had significantly less volume. I was able to recover better, and that also helped my sleep. I also practiced good sleep hygiene by going to bed consistently at the same time. So that was about sleep. Now that we have looked at all the 4 components, which is strength training, cardio, diet, and sleep, let's see what changes we see in DEXA Scan. There are many ways of measuring body fat. DEXA Scan is currently the most accurate one. I have also tried hydrostatic body fat testing in the past. This is where you get submerged under a tub of warm water. They take your weight measurement on land and the weight measurement when submerged underwater, and they calculate the difference. The idea behind that is fat floats and muscle sinks, and when you take the difference in the weights, you can determine the body fat percentage. But DEXA scan is much simpler. You just lie down on the machine and the machine scans you, and it gives you a report which includes your body fat estimation. So I did one DEXA scan in December of 2022 and another DEXA scan in the first week of July. So now we can compare the two reports and see how I have progressed. My latest recording was in July, and we see that my body fat was about 20.2%. This is increase of 1% from when I took the reading on December 2022. From 19.2% I increased to 20.2%. So now I'm sitting at 20.2% of body fat. My total mass increased from 184 pounds to 191 pounds. This is what I weighed on the day I took the scan. My fat tissue increased by 3.2 pounds and my lean mass increased by 3.5 pounds. And the bone mineral content stayed the same from the previous reading. Let's look at the body fat percentile chart. I am 34, 35, and I am in the 20th to 40th percentile. Here is a scan of the body, and you see that wherever it is blue, that's where all the fat is sitting, and wherever it is red, that's where I have the lean mass. And you can see there are some fat in some arm area, in the love handle area, and also some thigh area. Here is the regional assessment. I have about 3.8 pounds of fat in arms, 10.1 pounds in legs. The trunk has the most, 22.6 pounds. The android area, which is the lower abdominal region, that is about 3.6 pounds of fat, and gynoid, which is the hips, that is about 6 pounds of fat. So overall I have about 38.6 pounds of fat. For the lean tissue, I have the most lean tissue in the trunk and the legs, and my overall lean tissue is about 145.2 pounds. Now we look at VAT, which is the visceral adipose tissue. This has increased by 0.04 pounds, and the volume has increased as well. And here's the bone density. My Z-score is 2.4, which is greater than 97 to 99% of the population. I think that's a good thing. There is a muscle balance report. I don't think that it is that interesting. It measures the muscle balance between the left side of the body and the right side of the body. Here is the regional fat tissue report. From the last time I took the DEXA scan, in the arms region, I have gained about 0.4 pounds of fat. In the legs, I have gained about 0.1 pounds of fat. In the trunk area, I have gained about 2.4 pounds of fat. In the android area, which is the lower abdominal region, I have gained about 0.4 pounds of fat. In the gynoid region, I have gained about 0.3 pounds of fat. So overall, I have gained about 3.2 pounds of fat. In the regional lean tissue report, I have gained about 1.2 pounds of lean muscle in the arms, and I have gained about 0.6 pounds in legs. In the trunk, I have gained about 0.7 pounds. I have lost some lean muscle mass in the lower abdominal region. It's about 0.5 pounds. And I have gained about 0.2 pounds of lean muscle mass in the gynoid region. All those Bulgarian split squats have been working really hard, and it has been effective, even though I gained only about 0.2 pounds. So in total, I have gained about 3.4 pounds of lean muscle mass. So that was the DEXA scan for the last 6 months. In the last 6 months, I enjoyed smashing several personal records. My back squat jumped to 365 pounds, my deadlift is at 435 pounds, and my bench press is 245 pounds. I also accomplished the goal of reaching Club 1000. I made a video about it as well. I highly recommend checking it out. I feel really good about these lifts because in PowerBuilding program, you spend a lot of time in the 70 to 80% of 1 rep max. This not only builds strength slowly, it also builds confidence because you have spent a lot of time under the bar. Unlike CrossFit workouts, my volume is not super high, so my recovery has become a lot better. My sleep has also improved a lot. Now, let's talk about new goal for the next 6 months. I'm now sitting at 20% body fat. I'm currently enjoying how good it feels, but ideally I want to drop back to 16% and then get down to 12%. So my goal is to slowly shed the fat while keeping the newly gained muscle mass or even add on to it. I'm going to continue PowerBuilding program for the next 6 months. For cardio, in the previous 6 months, I averaged about 1.5 rides a week, and now for the next 6 months, I'm going to try and bump it up to 2 rides a week. I think the biggest change will be coming from the diet. I'm following Renaissance periodization app for the cut. This is what I used a few years ago while I dropped down to 9.2% body fat. So I'm inclined to try it again. Let me know in comments if you're on a similar journey and want to share your goals. What have you planned in the second half of 2023? Don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one.